guys, so today I'm going to do a little bit of a reflection on one of my sessions last week. It was a school session at Hambleton Primary School, which was, well, when I was told by my boss it was a year 1 and 2 Key Stage 1 football session, and when I arrived I was told by one of the teachers that it was a year 3, 4, 5 and 6 basketball session. So at first it was a bit of a surprise to me. I turned up 20 minutes beforehand, giving me a lot of time to set up, see where my surroundings were, and it was a bit of a problem to start off with, as I only had cones and a bag of footballs. So I quickly had to adapt my session. She gave me the option of cancelling the session, which I didn't really want to do, considering I'd travelled 40 minutes for the session, and it was a bit unfair on the kids. So I decided to go ahead with the basketball session. She said she would provide me with basketballs, and when we had a look, we only had 4 basketballs. So I had to deal with that. Another thing was she took me into the gym where the session was going to be taking place, and 38 children arrived from year 3, 4, 5 and 6. So as you can imagine, it was a bit of a shock to me. Bit of difference in ability, of course, 8 different ages. So I had to think on my feet nice and quickly. So I thought the best way we had an hour session, we can get into a warm-up, that was fine, get us going. So we did a 10-minute warm-up, just getting the muscles moving. That was without a ball, running around certain areas, giving them different tasks to do. At this point I was still thinking on what I could really do for the session, as I only had footballs, cones, and she'd provided me with 4 basketballs between 38 kids. So I decided to come up with a passing game to start off with. So I split them up into different age groups. To start off with, I think there was 6 year 3s, and then there was about 15 to 18 year 5s and 6s. So even then the groups were mixed quite a lot. The reason I split them up into groups is because I wanted the kids to get as much opportunity to have touches of the ball, practice passing the ball. This was because they hadn't told me that they played much basketball before. As well as that, I hadn't coached much basketball, if any, before. So that was a bit of a problem to me. I had to think what I could do with them to benefit their development and how I could do that, from the knowledge that I knew about the sport. So what I came up with a passing game, just so I could really have a look at the ability of the class, have a look what types of players we had maybe. It was really focusing on pass and moving, getting as many touches as the basketball as we can. I started without a defender, so we were passing and moving around a group. I then introduced 1 defender, introduced 2 defenders, and I introduced constraints such as types of passes that they could do, for example a bounce pass, a chest pass, and the defender was just looking to intercept the ball. I then introduced another progression where once you made a pass, you then had to follow your pass, which caused a bit of confusion at first, but it got them thinking of where they had to be at a specific time, how they had to move, the space that they had to move into, which I thought was a good indication of me to see the ability of the class. One problem was we were in a primary school gym, which, as you can imagine, was not big enough for 38 kids. And to be honest, another problem was controlling the kids, as there was 38 of them. So you had year 3s to year 6s. Some really didn't want to be there. Some were there actually they wanted to learn and develop. So I had to manage with that, which I thought I did well. They all bought into the session. I didn't really want it to be a waste of the time, being an hour session. I thought I need to think what I can do make the session beneficial for them really, and make it like they wanted to be there. One of the teachers then came in and offered me the chance to go outside with them. So I took that. We didn't have any basketball nets, so what I decided to do, I decided to set them up into conditioned games between the different age groups, with one goalkeeper on the opposite side. So they had to get the ball into that area to score a point for the team. So again, I thought I did well, thinking on my feet, thinking what I could do to kind of make up for not having the goals. And as it was the first session, it gave me a chance to have a look to see what we were working with and what we could do with them. Sorry. What I then went into was the conditioned games. The conditioned games with them, so they played against the different age groups. Again, the reason for that, I decided to split them up into age groups, give them as much chance to get on the ball as possible. I didn't really want the year 3s playing with the year 6s, and the year 6s being reluctant to pass to them. So I thought by splitting them up into age groups on 3 different courts, I gave them a chance to play against people their own age, similar ability. So I did that for around, it was probably about 25 minutes. Again, adding different constraints onto the game. So we started off playing just normal rules. They could make whatever passes they want, and then I started to intervene. So for example, you had to make 3 passes before you can score. You had to make 5 passes, so your whole team. I then said you could only dribble so far with the ball. You could only do a bounce pass, chest pass, and all these things just gave me a chance to have a look at their ability. And overall, I thought the session went really well, considering the problems that we had. Obviously, I said before, I turned up 20 minutes beforehand, thinking that I'd be doing a year 1 and 2 football session, which was more comfortable for me. So I was kind of taken out of my comfort zone, and to have 38 kids doing a basketball session aged from year 3 to year 6, and still having the best opportunity to have a look at what they could do, and it kind of helped me just improve on thinking on my feet really, and maybe like what I could do in future. So how that affected future sessions, knowing that I had 38 kids to work with and only one coach. One thing at the end of the session that I did do, obviously in my debrief, I didn't just want the kids to think, oh, we just had some games and it was kind of just a bit of a waste of time. So by doing a question and answer session at the end, based around the constraints, they gave me some really good feedback on what they thought they took from the passing drill into the game, and how that may affect them in a game, especially with like the different types of passes and the scenarios that you'll use them. So that was really beneficial for me, and I thought for them. It got them thinking about what they did and why they did it. And then after that, I had a discussion with the teacher, just explaining what went on, the reasons behind the session, and in terms of what we were going to do going forward. With 38 kids, I found it hard to intervene and do maybe one-on-one coaching, just pick up little things and give the kids bits of information, because I had to oversee 38 kids on one session, which was quite difficult. But it helped me for the future, definitely, and what I was maybe not so good at in terms of thinking on my feet, and how I dealt with that. So that was just a little bit of a reflection on my session. Thanks very much, guys. Cheers.